everybody, and welcome back to Art a la Carte. Today I want to answer a puzzling question that has been puzzling in my brains for quite a while. It's been almost 2 years since I made the Copic switch. And for those of you who don't know the story of how I began my Copic journey, I will leave a link to that video in the description box of this video. But from the very start, when I began to collect my markers, I always got the sketch marker. And in case you guys are perhaps a little new to the Copic scene, Copic markers are alcohol-based markers that are offered in 3 main marker types. Technically 4, but 3 main ones, which is the classic, which comes with a bullet nib and a chisel nib, and then in a sketch and a Ciao. Both of these markers have a chisel nib and a brush nib. And it's really the brush nib for me that makes the Copic marker really perform well. So I knew I wanted to collect the marker that had the brush nib with it. Of course, you can purchase nibs separately and put them in whatever marker you want, but let's just stick to the topic of this video, which is why did I choose sketch over Ciao? If you look at the price difference, the Ciao markers are significantly cheaper than the sketch markers. The reason being is that the ink barrel on the sketch marker is larger, therefore it holds more ink, therefore you don't have to refill your marker as much. But I got to wondering, how much bigger is it? Is it really worth the extra cost to purchase sketch markers over Ciao? So I'm going to answer 2 questions in this video. One being exactly how much more ink is in a sketch marker versus a Ciao marker, and really how far does that ink go between refilling your marker. So what I have is 2 full markers. The sketch marker I've had for quite a while, and I just refilled it to almost leaking stage, so it's really full. And the Ciao marker I just purchased at Rose City Comic Con, so it's a fresh, brand new, never been used before. And I'm going to test it out very scientifically, I might add. I'm going to fill up plain paper and see how far the ink goes. I decided to use regular computer copy paper just because it's not super thick, so there's not a lot of paper to absorb the ink. It'll stretch a little bit further. But note that if you use a thicker paper, you're probably not going to get as far of coverage as I do in this test. So starting out with the red Copic marker, I'm going to primarily use the chisel nib simply because the brush nib is really delicate and I don't want to damage it, but I will use that to drain whatever ink is in the brush nib. But I'm going to just fill up this paper, and it took me about 20 minutes to fully fill this paper up, where I felt the paper was really nicely saturated, and then began to start on the second piece. In hindsight, I probably should have used a fresh paper, but as I am a super frugal person, I figured, hey, I'll just use my blot sheet and color on that. It doesn't give as nice of a presentation, but still works. By the second paper, I could tell that my Copic marker was beginning to run dry, and I would often have to let the marker rest to kind of let the ink that's in the middle of the barrel come down into the nibs. But as you can see, the longer that I work with this marker, the drier it gets, and it's definitely not saturating the paper. Though I almost completely filled 2 sheets of paper, I have to tell you, I really thought one marker would go farther than this. I thought it would get a couple of papers worth of coverage. I was fully prepared to fill out quite a few pages with this marker, so barely 2 pages is going to get filled with a Copic sketch marker. Let's move on to the Ciao, which again is a brand new Ciao, fresh from the factory, and I got this really dark brown color. It's an E49, so it's not black, it's just a super dark brown, and began once again using the chisel side nib. This coverage is so intense that for quite a while I thought I was getting the same saturation, but when I flip the paper over, you're going to notice that it didn't seep through the paper as much as the sketch marker did, but I still felt I got a really strong coverage, and that has nothing to do with it being a Ciao versus a sketch. I think that has all to do with the color that I used. The dark is so dark that it covers the paper a lot better. By the end of the first page, the Ciao marker was already beginning to drag and not really cover a lot. I was having to go back over areas and really work the color in. If you're using a sketch or Ciao marker with the brush nib, you're going to want to really make sure that you don't damage that nib. It's tempting when it starts to run dry to really push down hard on your pencil, but that's going to destroy the nib. You never want to push the marker. You always want to drag it. You always want to lead them in that direction, never push them in the direction. If that makes sense. So as you can see on the second page, didn't get too far. So in the end, you can see that the Ciao reservoir marker juice container tank is definitely smaller. I don't feel like the Ciao marker holds so much less ink that it would be annoying to me having to refill it as much. And in that case, if you're looking to purchase a less expensive Copic marker, then going with the Ciaos is definitely something I would look into. I would really base the decision whether you buy Ciao or sketch markers on how the marker feels in your hand. I like the weight of the sketch. I like the size and the shape of it. For me, I feel the Ciao is just a little bit lightweight, but again, I started off with sketch markers, so my hand is really used to it. So now I'm a little bit curious on how much bigger the classic marker's inkwell is compared to a Ciao or a sketch marker. So if that's something you're curious about as well, let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see some other videos that I have talking about Copic markers, I'll leave some of those linked here at the end of this video. You can definitely check them out. If you're brand new to my channel, hit that subscribe button so that you won't miss out on any future videos. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up. That really encourages me. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me in this video. I hope you found it as informative and question answering as I did. So until next time, God bless you guys, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye!